Hi, folks. The League of Fire event is coming to an end. This weekend, we've got two massive games, the FAI Cup Final and the Promotion Relegation Playoff. To discuss those two and a couple of other things, I have my resident commentator, Cornell, and an ardent Cork fan and journalist, John O'Shea. We will be analysing it all with a special focus on the Cork case. Why? Well, there's a bit of rebel cheering among us. So yes, expect just a little bias. We won't hide it. And I have to admit, on top of it, I cannot help myself getting emotion about the Aviva games, both on Sunday, but also for Bray's fate, since I'm a Bray resident and I live this beautiful coastal town, and I cannot let down my neighbors on Friday. So I'll be at the game in Tolka. So lots to unpack. Playoff, promotion, last weekend games, and the FAI Cup Final. Be part of the chat. Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to help us grow this witty community. And let us know in the comments who was, in your opinion, Cork City player of the season. I will share my take at the end. That's something I already made it public in the Basque Cork City program, but I will read it in the final stages of this podcast. Before I move on, I just want to ask how are my dear commentators. Cornell, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you doing?
Very excited for the game. I think about it 24/7, so I'll also try to switch off as much as I can, but it's hard at this point. John, are you in a similar situation as I, or are you able to think of other things?
I think the cup final, it's kind of the closer it's getting. I think the more and more it's kind of just completely occupying my mind as well. To be honest with you, Vítor, it's kind of like it's like the countdown to Christmas nearly in Cork. Once is waiting for or Christmas Day, waiting for the cup final day to come around now, and on Sunday, and they're the kind of days and they're kind of occasions to be excited about, and I think it's quite good for even from a Cork City perspective. Just have this kind of a day to look forward to as well, especially for the fans. After what's probably been a difficult year overall, really. And so even suffering relegation back to the first division. I know. I think the disappointment of that, but I think it would be a pretty sweet way to end the year if they were to win the cup on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, let's start discussing Sunday game, the background, how did the teams get here. Also some memories from the 2017 epic final. But first, we will try to understand Cork season up to this point. Cornell, if you were to define Cork City season, okay, in a couple of words, what words would you pick and why?
I think if I was to define Cork City's season and why, obviously, look, I think I know it's not been their best season this season, which I totally understand. And obviously it hasn't gone really well. But I think if you really look at it from a certain point of view, I think they are still, talented. They've potential and they've got and quality.
John, you've been following Cork for a long time. I don't know for how long, but for sure longer than me. I'm kind of recent into the chat. What was your first memory of a Cork City Cup final, and how would you compare that context to the present?
It was interesting though. It's the first. I always remember the first. I don't know, is it because it was absolutely the coldest I've ever been in a match in my life. Really, in 2007, it was the first cup final. I was actually Dennis Beaton scoring the winning header at the RDS against Longford Town, and it was kind of days like that. Really, that they get players and you get it inspires the next generation of supporters. Even so, as I might say in one sense, but even the next generation of players as well. There's even a nice photograph actually during the week of on social media of Matty Kiernan before the final 2016-17 as a young teenager with Seánie Maguire, and now he's going to be in the same squad as Maguire going to the game on Sunday. But I think with the overall connection, I think you could see probably, unfortunately, with Cork City as well, there's probably been a lot of ups and downs probably along the way in terms of like 2007. Unfortunately, after that, the club went into a bit of a rocky kind of a couple of years, and they had to go down to the first division to rebuild in around 29, a couple of years later, even like 2010, 2011. But they came back up, and maybe that's something if history is going to repeat itself for Cork City fans, maybe hopefully once and for all, in terms of the Euroing will stop. But in 2011 when Cork City went down, they kind of rebuilt and they came back up under Tommy Dunn, and they consolidated in the Premier Division. And then John Caulfield came in, and then we all know what happened next in terms of the where he guided the club to the leagues and the cups and the double in 2017, of course. So hopefully, maybe if you're looking at the present team, maybe with John Nash and City, the ups and downs, you're hoping maybe it might be a case of hopefully once and for all going back, take one step back, consolidate and just get your act together, get your house in order, and come back up and jump up the division. Like even in recent years, you've even seen it done with Shelburne. Shelburne were kind of yo-yoing up and down between the first division and the Premier Division before Damien Duff took over around 2021. And look, he bought them, and look, they're seeing the fruits of it today now by playing in even the group stages of the Europa Conference League tonight. So that's what City will be hoping to kind of do as well. The club is, because I think the potential for the club is massive. Like if you look at even at Shamrock Rovers and what they're doing in Europe and the crowds they're getting, Cork City in terms of their potential are they're nowhere near probably hitting the potential at the moment that they can as a football club, and that's probably where a lot of the frustration probably comes from with the supporters as well. That there's so much more in Cork City as a club, and that's hopefully something maybe starting on Sunday, hopefully with a cup win from a Cork City perspective, that they can slowly, gradually over the coming years climb up the ladder and hopefully be where the club has the potential to be.
Cornell, if we think of the game, say from a tactical point of view, how would you recommend Cork to approach the game? Would you rather say it's better to be in charge of the action or just sit down and counterattack?
I think first of all, let me break this down. This is one of the biggest games and the biggest FAI Cup finals for Cork City, and I think any Cork City fan should be very, very excited and very, very proud that they've made the FAI Cup final and to come up against the champions, the 5-time champions of the League of Ireland. Look, I think the first thing I think Cork City needs to do is to approach the game with positivity, approach the game with optimism, approach the game as underdogs, and approach the game going into the game with no fear. And I think just taking the game to Shamrock Rovers and also just enjoying the moment that they are in the FAI Cup final, and I think just trying to get the ball to the likes of Maguire and Rory Keating, because they're going to be two key players that are going to make a huge impact in the final this Sunday coming against Shamrock Rovers. Because obviously we don't know what team Steve Bradley's going to put out. We don't know exactly how that's going to work. So I'm not too sure. But I think all they got to do is just to attack the game and just go with the flow, really.
John, as someone who bleeds red and green, how would winning this cup mean for Cork fans?
I think I think given that they'll probably the way they're approaching this cup final, it's probably the complete opposite to maybe previously. Like, when they were in 2017, they were the big boys, or themselves in Dundalk, and the great rivalry that they had in the League of Ireland. It was one of the biggest or one of the best rivalries in modern times in the League of Ireland for sure. And that's maybe even at the moment, even with the league, and as good as the league is at the moment, maybe if you could have that kind of a rivalry with Shamrock, maybe Shelburne could be the next couple of years. But if you had that kind of a rivalry that Cork and Dundalk had in the last decade, it would be fantastic. But I think the fact with Cork City that they're kind of coming in as absolute underdogs as well, I think you could argue it would be one of the greatest cup wins in Cork City's history, really. Because they're kind of coming in under the radar in a lot of sense. That all the talk and all the expectation is going to be on Shamrock Rovers winning the double and completing their first double since 1987. So, but I think this, and I think it would be nice, I think overall it's just to have something to enjoy for Cork City. It would mean an awful lot just to have a cup, and then even to have European football next year. It probably would make life a bit more bearable for Cork City fans in the first division. Though obviously, ideally you want to be in the Premier Division, but it would make it might soften the pain a little bit, if you have kind of European football to look forward to as well. But I think definitely, just considering maybe the unexpectedness of it really, and the fact that Shamrock Rovers are kind of probably fairly strong favourites, it would probably be one of the best wins in Cork City's history, I think, for City fans. I think if they were to win on Sunday.
Let's talk now about the psychological aspects. They tend to impact the game. It's not always visible, but they are present. So, Cornell, the fact that Rory Keating is back, he might not be in the first 11, but he'll be at least on the bench. How much can that boost the squad, in your opinion?
The way it boosts the squad is that it's a massive boost for them, because that's what Cork City have been missing this season. They've really missed the way that Rory Keating has really impacted Cork City's front line. I think most of the Cork City fans have missed seeing Keating and Maguire link up together, because at the start of the season, before Keating's injury, Maguire and Keating were making a huge impact, and the reason why Cork City was going up the table and going and being in a good position before what happened this season. But I think it will be interesting how Nash really sees this. I think if he does play him, I would be very pleased if he does. If he doesn't, then I think the pressure is going to be on Seánie Maguire to actually get on the goals. But I think if he plays him at the start, and even if it's like 45 minutes, or depending on how long he can go, because he's been out for so long, and I think that's what Cork City have really missed. They've missed Keating's presence going forward. They've missed Keating showing his class and his quality that we all know that he has. But it wouldn't be surprising if Keating plays this Sunday.
John, if you were to name a strength among the team, what would that be?
Sorry, could you repeat it? If I could define that.
If you were to name a strength that Cork has, a strength that can be key for us to lift the trophy, what would that be?
I think the resilience, and I think the work rate that they have. I think that was probably very evident in the Pats game in the semi-final. You could see that the energy and the hunger that was in the team for sure. And I think overall it's probably something, even in fairness to John Nash and David Moyler, since they've come in. So the buy-in that they've got of the player seems to have been fairly strong. And I think I think the Pats game will give them a lot of encouragement, because it shows on a one-off game that what they're capable of doing, and I think, and I get the sense that there's a big performance in them like that, and it's something they can bring out on Sunday. But it's a big performance that they can bring out to the Aviva on Sunday as well. So I think, to be honest, it's something that they're probably going to have to. They know they're going to be fairly strong, and I think the fact as well, the Pats, a possession team like Rovers, are going to be similar enough. And probably on Sunday, that they know they can soak up pressure, and they know that they can soak it up and then hit on the counter with the pace. I suppose in that's the beauty of having someone like Seánie Maguire, as we saw even in the semi-final against Pats as well. He leads the line brilliantly, and behind them the likes of Evan McLaughlin. So he took his goal brilliantly in the semi-final. That they have enough strengths, and it probably is going to take that. City they're going to have to go up a level, and maybe reach that Rovers are going to maybe have to be down a level or two potentially as well. That's probably the best chance you have of winning the game. But I think the strength is probably the fact that they seem a very together group. They're very young and very inexperienced overall. Maybe if you're comparing them to Rovers, but there's a good and I think that's the thing. Nash has kind of said he wants to build what's bigger than Sundays, or this season. They want to kind of build like an identity around the team in terms of like having Cork lads, maybe a mixture of kind of experienced heads, but also delving into the very impressive Cork City Academy. And I think that they're going to need to show those kind of signs on Sunday as well, just the desire and the strength, and just go out and leave it all out on the pitch in the Aviva.
Let's now just think for a few minutes of Shamrock Rovers. So they are not in the best form, although they are winning in Greece 1-0 with 15 minutes to go. I think they only won one game out of the last, can't remember now, maybe six or seven matches, which is strange considering that they are a powerful squad. They have been almost invincible in Ireland and also impressing the European eyes. How do you see the strengths and weaknesses, Cornell, of Shamrock Rovers, considering that they've been playing very often, but they also have a very strong psychology?
I think the weaknesses and the strengths and weaknesses of Shamrock Rovers is, I think the strengths of Rovers is going forward. Their front line is very, very strong. When you've got Noonan in the team and you've got Burke who's killing it in front of goal, you've got Gaffney who plays his part as well. You've got Greeny as well, who also plays his part as well in there as well. Then you've got the brand new signing McGovern as well, who's also starting to make his impact properly known on the Rovers team. It is very, very difficult to handle. And then also as well, the midfield as well. Matt Healy, who's been sensational this season in sensational form. Dylan Watts is also one as well too. Michael Noonan up front is also key as well. And I think the back line of Lopez, especially with his experience, obviously Houlihan, Cleary, Grace, I think, and Matthews as well. I think that's also key. And then I think Ed McGinty as well. The weakness is there's times where Shamrock Rovers do switch off at times. They can easily get caught on the counter attack as well. And there has been certain teams that have actually caught them, like the final day of the season, Sligo caught them on guard. And obviously, I think that's a weakness that Cork City can basically exploit. So I think the weaknesses of Rovers is being caught too quickly on the counter attack, and I think as well defending as well is also one as well too. So I think that's something that Cork City can really hurt. But I think if Cork City actually get switched on and they play the game as their way, they've got a chance of winning the FAI Cup against Shamrock Rovers.
Right. If we would have to name a hero for Sunday, a hero for Cork, would that be Maguire again, or would you pick another name, John?
It's hard to know. I'd say probably even Maguire probably would be the opposite example, and the people you're hoping he will replicate a certain moment from the 2016 FAI Cup Final in the Aviva against Dundalk. I think there's a couple of guys who could step up, even Evan McLaughlin as well, who's been pretty good overall this season, and he was very good in the semi-final. So I think he's prone to have a goal in him and maybe a big moment in him as well. I think even in fairness to the goalkeeper Conor Brennan as well. So he's been a pretty good shot stopper since he's come into the starting 11. And in fairness, he's had to bide his time a bit overall. If you look back for when Tian Truce was in goal for the first half of the season, he would have been on the bench. And then David Odamusu was brought into the club as well by Tim Clancy. So earlier in the season, so he's had to wait for his opportunity. In fairness to Conor Brennan, but he's come in and he's taken it both hands. I think someone that also maybe in terms of the game who could go, I think the likes of Rory Feely or Fiacre Kelleher, I think at the back as well. I think they've kind of their experience and leadership has been kind of evident. I think particularly Rory Feely has been a fantastic addition, along with Kelleher. I think that kind of experience, maybe if they had that maybe in the first half of the season, they probably could have stayed up. or even if they play like they did against Pats in the semi-final, if they that potential that's in the team, I think on a one-off performance, it shows if they did that more often week in week out, I think they would have been fine in terms of consolidating in the division. But I think that experience, I think that experience is going to be crucial on Sunday as well, because like Joe, if you look at the average age of the starting team for City overall, it's going to be pretty young. So I think that if you're going to win the game like that, just to steady the ship at the back, the likes of Kelleher, the likes of Rory Feely, the likes of Maguire as well, that experience is going to be massive. And I think even with the coaches in terms of Cup Final day, I think having Mark McNulty is involved as well is maybe something that could be very important. Maybe that might go under the radar. His role, obviously he's involved. Knows the goalkeeping coach, but I'm sure over this week as well, he's been kind of giving a few nuggets of information to the younger lads as well, just about how big this week is, just enjoying and embracing the occasion. So I think that's what they're going to have to do as well. Just embrace the opportunity, and like it's a free hit really for City in a lot of ways, because most people are going to be expecting Rovers to win the cup and to complete the double.
Okay, Doc. Let's now just move to the Friday game. So we have Bray facing Waterford in Tolka Park. I'd like to ask you, Cornell, how are you feeling about this one? Would you see Bray pulling off a surprise, or rather Waterford finally show their quality?
It wouldn't be surprising that that Bray surprise everybody and do the impossible and beat Waterford, despite that Waterford have slightly got back their form. Obviously, Almond won the Golden Boot, which was the right choice, despite that we were all expecting Mason Media to actually level with Almond and probably score another 2 goals to overpass Almond. But I mean, 14 goals to end the season, I think that's a fantastic achievement, especially for an experienced player like Almond. But Bray, I mean, I watched him in the semi-final against Treaty United. Bray were just absolutely class against Treaty, and they really outsmarted and Treaty, and Treaty couldn't handle them. So Bray was in this similar situation before last season, so they'll be obviously looking to go into the playoff final and really find a way to go and win and to be promoted to the Premier Division. Waterford, in the other hand, obviously they want to stay in the Premier Division. They don't want to be playing First Division next season with Cork City. But look, I think Waterford has to not underestimate Bray, because Bray Wanderers are still a quality side. They've got everything in their locker that most teams want. Yes, I can understand that probably maybe Treaty felt that maybe they were misdone. Maybe they could have won that game. Yes, they could have probably even scored first instead of Bray scoring. But look, I mean, you gotta give credit to Frezai. I think it was a class goal, to be fair. But look, I think Bray is more the likely team that looks like they really want to be in the Premier Division, and they want to really cause a lot of upsets and problems for next season. So I think the favorite is slightly going to go to Bray. So it won't be surprised if Bray win it.
John, were you at the promotion relegation playoff game between Waterford and Cork? I think 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Were you in the Talat?
I think I might have been. Yeah, there was a pretty, it was another kind of a scarring night. It was like shell shock, because it was kind of, and maybe that's kind of even the war. It was the shell shock, because even going into it, Waterford, maybe there's probably warnings that they could take from that particular game, in the fact that, being Cork City would have been, I think, considered the favourites going into that game. So given obviously what the way the playoffs worked out, Waterford, and even in the previous Waterford played, they defeated Cove and Turner's Cross, and then they went up to Tala and they beat Cork City in the ultimate final. So the warning signs are there in terms of the momentum, and I think that's the thing. Like Bray come into this, they've ended the season well, and they have a bit of momentum going into the game now tomorrow night, Talca, and especially the high after winning the way they won that alone, a cracking finish from Ferrajoy. They'll go up and they'll have a go. And definitely, as I was saying, the warning signs are there for Waterford. If they take their eye off the ball, that a team can pounce and a team can cause a shock like in this playoff kind of a system. And even earlier in the season, I suppose we saw it as well with the cup. Sligo playing Kerry, they were 3-0 up down in Tralee in the cup game there, and then Kerry came back to win 4-3. So it just shows you that maybe just you can't, even though Waterford will be going to the game as favourites, they can't take the eye off the ball whatsoever, and then they'll be looking to the likes of Podrigan, and if he gets the chance to finish it tomorrow night, and he is a great finisher, but they'll have to make sure at the other end that they don't fall asleep and they don't because Bray definitely have the threats, and I think they have the potential to cause Waterford problems if Waterford are not fully at it,
Talking of weak points, if I look at the first division table, I can see that Bray Wanderers, they conceded 53 goals, which is quite a lot, for if you take in mind that there were only 36 games, so it's more than a goal conceded per game. How can that impact the game on Friday, Cornell?
53 goals conceded is not great for Bray. Obviously Bray have a record of conceding goals, either if it's before full time or before the 90 minutes. But look, I think that's something that maybe Waterford could actually exploit and probably and see as their weakness. But as I'm going to say, I don't think Bray doesn't have nothing to fear. The stats doesn't lie; it tells the truth. But I think if Bray can avoid conceding the first goal and not conceding the first goal for them to go down, I think they'll be all right. But look, 53 goals, as I said, is not great, but I think it's something that maybe Waterford will be aware of. But look, I do see Bray obviously winning this game.
John, you were not with us last week. We tried to guess who would be in the relegation promotion playoff. Our bet was Galway, but we turned out that we were wrong. It was Waterford. Where were you last week? Were you thinking that would be Waterford, or one of the other two?
I was kind of probably the way it was going out, or the way the season ended. I kind of thought Waterford were wary of kind of falling into the potential trapdoor of it as well. I think Sligo, have had a good. I think overall, they've recovered as the season went on, and I think it was actually maybe a good game for them to have playing Shamrock Rovers away, even away from home, because the fact that obviously Rovers winning the league title a couple of days earlier. You could see Rovers, they were probably in celebration mode. It was the day I suppose they had one eye on the trophy presentation before the game started, and then obviously it was more about kind of managing the players' load and managing the minutes, because they probably had one eye on the game tonight in Athens, and also the game on Sunday, the cup final against City. So I kind of felt I was kind of this could potentially happen, and I kind of felt I thought Galway that there was a motivation. I felt even with the whole, just the way the season went, it was. I think there was a lot of motivation from their side to kind of just make sure to consolidate. And after what has been a difficult year for them in terms of what happened with Ollie Horgan and the tragic, I suppose, the news of him passing midway through the season. So I kind of, there was a motivation there and a desire. I thought that they would kind of see enough and get over the line. But yeah, I think Waterford were wary to kind of fall into the trapdoor, and I think ultimately that's what happens,
Right. Let's just wrap up this game with quick questions here. Cornell, you mentioned that you believe that Bray will be the winner. Would they score first, or would be a sort of roller coaster score?
I think Bray could score first. And I think, especially with the momentum that they have now, I think they have the momentum going into this game as underdogs. They have the momentum of being a team that will never give up. They will give everything that they've got, and I believe that Bray, I think, will really silence some serious critics of people not to underestimate them and to take them very, very lightly.
John, if you have to put your money on this game, where would you put it?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm kind of maybe similar to Cornell. The closer it comes around, I think if the key, I think, was really with Waterford. I think, or with Bray winning, I think if they can keep Padraig Gammon quiet, I think they've got a chance. Really, if they could, they had the momentum coming into the game, and I think they have enough. They have enough too. If they have the opportunity, they can strike. They have enough weapons in their armory in the squad to cause Waterford problems. But I think the key really, if they can keep the Waterford attacking duo, like of especially Ammon, but also Tommy Lonergan, I think Bray can shade us,
Yeah, I would be in alignment with you guys. I can see Bray taking advantage of their momentum, and if they are focused, if they are firm, if they are compact, I don't see any other outcome other than Bray victory. Right, we move now to last weekend games. So there's one that, at least to me, was shocking. Not only I was not only shocked with the winner, but with the score. I would never guess, not even my wildest imagination, a 4-1 for Bows. Cornell.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on this, Victor, because I mean, honestly, congratulations to Bows on winning. Obviously, they're going to be watching the Cork and Shamrock Rovers FAI Cup Final to see who goes into Europa League qualification and who goes into UEFA Conference League qualification for next season. Look, Bows were the better team by far. Drogda tried to give everything that they had, but Bows were showed that they were way too strong for Drogda. So Bows obviously knew that the race for Europe was on the line, and they had to work very, very hard to achieve that. But I think Drogda will feel very, very undone by. Excuse me, and not only that as well, I think Drogda really wanted to be in wants to be in Europe because they really felt undone by that. Basically, they were kicked out. They were kicked out of Europe, and that they felt that maybe it was probably wrong for them to be out of Europe and to be kicked out of it. But look, I think at least the FAI Cup Final will give Drogda, the proper benefit of being in Europe, and whoever wins the FAI Cup this Sunday, either Shamrock Rovers or Cork City, out of these teams will get a chance to be in Europe. But look, the scoreline never doesn't repeat itself. Bowls were a better team, and they showed their quality. When you've got the likes of Rooney in there, you've got Denvoy in there, you've got James Taylor, James Clark in there. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult. But Alan Reynolds got it spot on, got his tactics spot on, and got it right. So very, very, very happy for Bowles to get the win against Drogda, but Drogda will feel undone by.
Just before I move to you, John, I want to share with everyone that is watching this podcast and not paying attention to Rovers' game. Rovers just conceded the equalizer in injury time with a penalty, so I think that will affect their morals on Sunday. It's just ironic. That's why I'm smiling, just because of that. There'll be some Bows jerseys in the Aviva supporting their rival, supporting Shamrock Rovers, but we cannot take offense, John. It's their own interests.
Yeah, it's probably a very, very rare occasion that you will probably see Bows fans hoping to see Shamrock Rovers win a game of football. Unbelievable, but I couldn't imagine even their own if they are on the Aviva and some. I don't think they'll be shouting it from the rooftops. Probably that. But they'll be quietly, maybe a fist pump celebrating underneath the table or something. But Yeah, it's kind of any kind of the kind of complexities of it. It's guess how the Bows are hoping that their biggest rivals will do them a favour and qualify or a win to ensure that Bows qualify for the Europa League. Like Joe, it'd be interesting. Like Joe, and I think in terms of like the talent in the Bows side, as well, like the likes of Devoy, the Cornell mentioned a number of the players there earlier that are in that side. You'd imagine having European football as well, Joe. I think if it probably would be good for Bows, but also good for the league. I think. Imagine having like the Bows and Rovers. Joe, I was talking about the rivalry, the Dundalk and City. The way it's shaped. If imagine if you had Bows and Rovers, the Dublin derbies, and they were like title deciders or cup finals in the next couple of years as well. I mean, they would be, like, I suppose, great adverts for League of Ireland football, and they have been. Even the first game of the season. Remember when Bows and Rovers played at the Aviva, and the opening weekend of the season. So, like, I think for the league as a whole, I think probably you kind of want that bit of rivalry. You want that kind of a bit of a, rather than maybe seeing a team like Rory or Shamrock Rovers, and they deservedly have been the best team in the country for the last, for this decade and the last number of years. But you probably don't want a team to be kind of dominating and winning year after year after year, maybe 10, like a Rosenborg or a team like winning 10 years in a row, like. For the good of the game, I think Bows have if you're looking at teams potentially that could go on and challenge Rovers, maybe be their main rivals for the title, if with a view to next year. So that the likes of Bows probably have that potential to challenge them, and I think, ironically, that's probably even with the European angle. Rovers, not only like are they doing them, a favour in qualifying for Europe, but also maybe. The other side of it, they could be strengthening a rival for next year. In terms of imagine like if you're being in European football, that kind of really would dictate, in terms of budgets and in terms of the players that you could attract to the club as well. So like definitely there's a lot at stake for Bows on Sunday, and they'll be hoping to get into Europe for sure.
Now talking of the Dublin derbies, Scorvus outcome in Shell's ground, 0-0, which was a massive blow for Stephen Kenny and the Pats, Cornell.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive blow. Watched the game, saw the highlights on FAI, and I just thought it was an absolute disgrace from St. Pat's. This was an absolute opportunity that should have been taken by Pats. They had the chance to. They are competing for Europe. Yeah, you're telling me that you're drawing against Shelburne, who's already obviously booked their place in Europe for next season, despite they're in Europe already. And St. Pat's, honestly, I mean, I look at that St. Pat's team. We all know that Mason Media has had a fantastic season. Obviously, he's going to go to Tottenham in January. He's got, obviously, 13 goals this season. And, obviously he missed out on the Golden Boot award, and obviously Almond's beating him to it. But this was an opportunity and a chance for St. Pat's to basically go on and find a way and say, okay, well, final day of the season, let's go into the Shells game and get 3 points and try and get fourth. This is an absolute failure by Stephen Kenny and St. Pat's. I mean, we're talking about St. Pat's, who were favourite for the League of Ireland title. They were, and we all expected St. Pat's to give Shells and Shamrock Rovers a very, very hard time of being favourites. Right now, I look at that St. Pat's team, and I think I see a washed-up St. Pat's team, because basically St. Pat's haven't had a good season. Like the start of the season, they were fantastic, and everybody was thinking this is a team that could be favourite for the League of Ireland title. Now I look at this team, and I know injuries hasn't really helped. Like Zebedee is a big blow for them. Yeah, Simon Powell's been out of the team, in and out of the team. Yeah, Jake Mullaney's been out of the team, not his fault due to injury. Aidan McKenna was a striker that's highly rated in the League of Ireland. He was scoring goals for fun, absolutely scoring goals for fun. And then out of nowhere, he got injured. And then since he's come back, they've had to manage his minutes because they don't want to overdo it with him. So the performances haven't been great. And there's been certain games that St. Pat's should have won, and they haven't won it. Despite Joe Redmond's been fantastic at the back and well solid at the back. I mean, if they do pull off the likes of Connor Kane and Dello in the winter transfer window, I mean, that would be brilliant signings, because I do think they do need some new faces to add, because losing Palmer in the midfield is heartbreaking, and obviously Barry Cockley is in and out of the team, not his fault. But St. Pat's had the chance. They had the opportunity to go into the Shells game on the final day and try and get into Europe. So I think it's going to be very interesting where St. Pat's go and where do they go from this, because St. Pat's are a quality side, and I expect them to go into next season as favourites for the League of Ireland title, not going into a season and they are classed as a failure of a team. That's not the right way. Stephen Kenny has got a lot of work to do and a lot of improvements to do with the St. Pat's team.
John, do you think Stephen Kenny can afford another season, or there will be some real pressure with the board?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that. I don't think another season. I think the frustration would definitely be starting to rise even more. If another season of this, I don't think probably would be acceptable probably for Pats, given the amount of resources and the investment that's gone in there as well with Stephen Kenny. You know, at the start of the season, really, like a lot of people had them geared up to be the main team to potentially challenge Shamrock Rovers for the title. And on paper, if you looked at them, if you look at Forrester and Mulrenny, to Mason Melia, they had on paper they looked to have that squad that should really be really going neck and neck with Rovers of the league. But there was just something, I don't know. Maybe it could be a case, maybe in terms of that identity. Maybe that he probably needs to move, and there could be some maybe unpopular decisions by Stephen Kenny but it might be a case he might have to kind of move players on in terms of bringing that edge, or kind of bringing that identity to the team again, in terms of maybe kicking on to challenge for the likes of Rovers. Like there was maybe that in terms of the possession, but maybe getting stuck down and stuck in and doing that kind of nitty gritty kind of side. Maybe they need that. That's kind of what I kind of found maybe watching in this year that maybe might have been lacking. Like definitely the cup semi-final. It was kind of like a case like obviously the game started and they were kind of they were kind of controlling possession, but like it was like there was no plan B. It was like once when City went ahead, it was kind of like it's like the Pats, I thought, didn't know they did. It's like, what lever do we pull now? How do we react from this? And that seems to be the way, like there was no plan B, and there was no kind of like maybe in game, they have a certain style of playing. They like being good on the ball and like opening up defenses and scoring goals. But like if that doesn't work and you fall behind, what's your plan B? And I'm not sure what Pats' plan B was really. In my opinion, looking at them, they've definitely it definitely is a big disappointment for them not even qualifying for Europe. You have to say, like, there's no point saying otherwise. Pats fans will be very disappointed with how the season has gone, and like where they go from here. And it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a pretty big off season for Stephen Kenny for certain. Like some big decisions are going to have to be made, and maybe I won't be surprised that there's a few comings and goings there as well, because like I think next year at minimum I think they're going to have to be looking to win silverware, given the resources that are there, and that the resources that can be put in there as well. A league or a cup really, I think will be the baseline, and I think another season like this definitely will not be tolerated. And who knows? Like I think maybe Stephen Kenny might be in a job, even if they were had to have a repeat of this season next year. You know.
Right now, a game where both teams were, I'd say, interested, but they have to play it because that's they need to be professional. Today. Cornell, you mentioned that in the end, Derry will bring the 3 points, so you were right. It seems.
Yes, I definitely said previously on the previous podcast show that Derry City will win this game, and they proved once and for all that they can win this game. Derry City, obviously, Michael Duffy, what a season he has had this season. Absolutely incredible this season. And this is the reason why Derry City have been on fire and they've been on form because of Michael Duffy. And because of his assists and his goals are just absolutely quality. And Michael Duffy is just the reason why he's been so key for them. But the result never seems to amaze because Derry City were a better team than Cork City. And obviously, Cork City, they have nothing to play for. They're obviously, yes, they're going to play First Division football next season, which is a real disappointment. But, I think they'll get back up and I think they'll be favourites for the First Division title. But Derry City, I mean, they took their chance and they took their opportunity and they knew that they're going to be, obviously, they want to be in Europe. They want to be playing European football. They want to be either playing Europa League or they want to be playing UEFA Conference League football, but Derry City took their chance and they took their opportunity, and brilliant finish from Michael Duffy. Duffy does what he always does, and that is to score goals and make things happen and be the creator that he is. But look, I mean, it's hard done. It's hard done on Cork City, but Derry City were the better team from start to finish, and they showed the class and the quality and why they are where they are and why they, came runners up to Shamrock Rovers in the title. So it wouldn't be surprising if Derry City is favourite once again next season.
John, I don't think that result was how we desired to finish the season. And on top of that, it was the lowest attendance of Cork City, in 2020-25. So that it wasn't a night to remember, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that could have said it all. Really, it was definitely kind of the mood. It was just like, this is over. The league is done now. And maybe with the fan base, it was always going to be a hard sell. It's probably, you have one eye on the cup final, and you've absolutely nothing to play for in the league. And the only team that had something to maybe play for were Derry with this consolidating the European position. It was just it was that kind of a game. Like, and I think that's probably, you kind of worry. Obviously, I don't think beyond Sunday, obviously the cup final, but you kind of think that it could be potentially a sign of maybe things to come, maybe in Turner's Cross next year, especially if City lose the cup final for sure. Like, it's going to be a harder and harder. Like, obviously, you will have the derbies with Cove for sure, that they'll kind of sort themselves out in terms of crowds. But like, if you look at it, it's probably, especially your floating supporters, it's probably a harder sell. Like, with all due respect, like, if First Division football it's going to be a harder sell to get your neutrals and your floating fans through the gate. Especially with like people in Cork want to be following team, especially your floating fan base. So you will have your diehards who will go to every single game. Even by the likes of myself, it will. Even if Cork City at the bottom of the First Division, you're always going to get a hardcore of supporters who are going to come week in, week out. But like, it's going to be a tougher sell in the First Division, especially if City don't have that European football to look forward to in terms of the reward of winning the cup. So like, overall it was that kind of game, and the mood Sunday really, or last Saturday, sorry, the game, it went along the expected lines, and one team had something to play for, one didn't, and the team that did ended, I suppose, going off current form, Derry, deservedly, and I suppose they got the result that they needed, and I think Derry as well it's probably gone under. Like they probably didn't have the best of stats to the season, but as the season went on, you could see Derry. You know, they're another team potentially if they can maybe have another off season, another good off season, and a good prep for next year. Build off what they've done at the end of this year. They have the potential to challenge for honours over the next couple of years as well with the players in the squad in Derry.
Right, now we have a game where I think Rovers had one eye on the trophy and another eye on Greece, and that cost them the 3 points. Sligo, they made the most of it, and they saved themselves from playing the promotion, relegation, playoff. They had a very fantastic last 4 or 5 months. They were absolutely one of the best teams. If they will be like this since the start, maybe they will be now mid-table or approaching the European position. Cornell.
Yeah, another brilliant performance from Sligo. Sligo Rovers have been absolutely fantastic this season. They've been a team with pure quality, with the likes of Owen Eldin and Jay Akiki, 2 good players who've been in sensational form this season and really showing how fantastic they can be. Obviously, for Rovers, it didn't really mean anything, obviously, because they're champions. They're already champions. Win, draw, lose, doesn't really matter. They still got the chance to lift the trophy in front of their fans. And look, they played. Rovers didn't play very well against Sligo. Sligo were the better team from start to finish, and they showed the quality and the opportunity, and they took their chances very, very well. Sligo, obviously, you and I, obviously, Victor, we've spoken about them dozens of times, and we've said that obviously if they didn't do very well, then John Russell's job would be on the line when they were really, really struggling. But they've taken on everyone, the critics, they've taken on doubters and told them, this is what Sligo Rovers is about. I think the only problem for Sligo is keeping hold of Eldin. I think is a problem at the present moment, because obviously he's been attracted, by European clubs. Obviously, Austria want him, Graz want him, obviously, and he's supposed to be going there to go and visit the ground and then make his decision on either joining them or staying with Sligo. So I think if they can keep hold of Eldin, for next season, even though yes, he's going to have a lot of clubs from the EFL Championship and other clubs in Europe, including Graz in the Austrian league. I think Sligo will have a very good player, on a fantastic player who's willing to get better and be that new next big thing and a new prospect. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant result for Sligo, but disappointing for Shamrock Rovers.
John, I remember very well when Sligo was behind Cork City, and now they are 7th, and we are back to the graveyard. So it's never over until it's over.
No, absolutely not. And it shows it's a marathon and not a sprint. Unfortunately, and you could see in that sense over the momentum that Sligo picked up over the second half of the campaign. So at times in the last couple of, especially the second half of the season, they were playing like a team that really kind of belied their position in the table. And there were times watching them, you kind of thought it's hard to believe you're watching a team at times that are in a relegation battle, because they were playing some good stuff, and they showed a lot of character to kind of come back and turn it around, and ultimately they're safe and they're in the Premier Division for another season, and like they've been proactive already. They've signed Archie Meekison from Bowes in terms of signings for 2026, so that they're kind of, the planning is already underway for next year already in terms of a Sligo Rovers perspective. And they've been a great, and a credit to, I suppose, to the manager up there in Sligo as well, John Russell. So he's a joy in terms of the resources. Like there are sides definitely below Sligo. You could say that they would even have bigger budgets. And I think if you were at the start of the season, I think lining up teams in terms of the playing budget on offer, Sligo would have been down near the bottom for sure. But in fairness to they show great character, but they also have got a bit. There's some good stand-up performers throughout the year for them. Though Hadiki obviously has been in with the Irish under-21 team, and then obviously Owen Elding. What else is to say about him? So he's been terrific all year, and in terms of these young lads, he's right up there. So the likes of Naoimh Semelias, Cathal O'Sullivan's, Owen Elding. He's been out in terms of some of the brightest young talents in League of Ireland football, and he's been a joy to watch. Whenever I watch Sligo play, he's always been key, and he's always been an attacking threat. But who knows? It looks kind of quite likely, as Cornell was saying, that Sturm Graz are in terms of offer. So it looks like it could be a very distinct possibility that Owen Elding is going to be departing the League of Ireland football over the next couple of months. But overall, a satisfied season for Sligo, and I think, especially as you were saying, given the position that they were in earlier in the season, they'll take it. And I think the turning point for sure for me was, in terms of both teams, in terms of Sligo and Cork City, was that night in Turner's Cross where Cork City were leading 2-0, and Sligo and Owen Elding on the score sheet again that night. They came back, Sligo to win 3-2, and I think that was a big turning point for both teams. Especially when we think it was a real sliding doors moment. Go back a couple of seconds earlier, Alex Nolan whacks a shot off the crossbar. If that goes in, City are going to be winning the game 3-2, really realistically. And then Sligo go down the other end, and there you go 3-2. And I think that to me really was the turning point for both team seasons, really.
Yeah, that tells that every goal counts, and that's for sure true. If you think of this draw, that was not only a game, that was surely a war of nerves for both fans, because that result was enough for Galway to secure another season in the Premier Division. And Waterford, now it depends on what happens on Friday with Bray. How do you see this outcome, Cornell?
The outcome of this is it's a brilliant point for Galway United. Galway United worked very hard to get the draw. They played well as a team. They played well together. It hasn't been their best season this season, and Galway United know that. Obviously, they haven't replaced Moses Dyer properly, and obviously Shaw. Everybody thought that Shaw that came in was going to be the proper replacement for Moses Dyer, but it hasn't really happened. So I think a draw was the very, very outcome, but obviously it didn't go Waterford's way. Sorry, on basically on them staying up. So right now they've got to play the playoffs, the relegation final as well too. But look, Galway United. Listen, Galway United deserve to stay up. They have a lot of improvements that they need to do. They need to get a proper striker to replace Moses Dyer, and a few more reinforcements that is going to make Galway United a better team and than how they were this season. So it'll be very interesting to see what Galway United do from now till next season.
John, your thoughts on that one, just to finalize.
I think it was the job. I think just to consolidate, the Galway will be happy another year in the Premier Division, and I think it's interesting as well in terms of what they're going to do in terms of the goalkeeping position as well with Galway next year. So the very experienced and capable netminder Brendan Clark is, I think that in the last couple of days it's announced that he's going to be leaving Galway. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Right. I think, like, obviously the Moses Dyer, that was probably something that wasn't really expected in terms of maybe it was pretty sudden, his departure, but I think that's something that they're going to have to show up as well in terms of properly replacing him, because like he was, I'd say, still even for a couple of months after he left Galway, he was still one of the, if not the top scorer in the league for quite a while. So like it's going to be interesting to see what happens there in terms of the attacking third of the pitch for next year. And I think as well as Galway, I think really it was. I think really to stay up really was the achievement, if you kind of put in consideration as well. I think I can't, the effect it must have had on them as well. With, I suppose it's going back to the Ollie Horgan, the fact how big a difference he had there in terms of consolidating them and the role he had. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of the players, in terms of like the going into. In terms of like it would have been perfectly understandable if their minds were completely elsewhere over a point in the season, when he was going through, I suppose his battle, and ultimately with him passing away, that must have had a pretty tough effect on the group, and it probably galvanised them maybe for the latter parts of the season. But like, I think that's why it makes the achievement even, I suppose, even better in terms of staying up, in terms of like because there was a lot of maybe of room, or a lot of difficulty probably in terms of turning up the training, and just maybe a lot of uncertainty there as well. So job done, and I think really you have to give them a lot of credit for doing that, is considering what the external factors as well that they would have been dealing with during the season.
All right. I'm going to show you Cork City program where I've collaborated. And there was a question on the panel that I'm going to ask you guys, and then read my my response. So the question for the panel was, who was the player of the year, Cork player of the year? Cornell, who would you nominate?
If I had to nominate anyone to be player of the year for Cork City, I would have to say it has to be Seánie Maguire.
John?
Yeah, I'd say Maguire probably in terms of influence, but I think other one, I think Kit Nelson, I think, has been good this season, and Evan McLaughlin, they would be probably among the three kind of standouts that I would be edging towards if you're going for a player of the year for sure as well. And I suppose Cathal O'Sullivan as well for his flashes, in terms of his assists and creativity as well.
Yeah, I've named Seánie Maguire, and I just wrote a quick article. I'm going to read it for you guys. It says the following: I've always been skeptical about the return of old glories to the club. I could picture them warming the bench, maybe coming on the final minutes to chase a dramatic goal, and even that I would felt like a stretch. The truth is, most old glories, they do not rely on their skills anymore, but rather on their egos. And let's face it, big egos don't always mix well with team sports. Seánie Maguire returned to Cork City under those very circumstances. And yet, not only did he make the starting 11, when injuries didn't sideline him, he earned it. Seánie fought hard to stay on the pitch and deliver. Maybe aware he is no longer as quick or agile, he put passion into every game. And at times, that fire seemed to lift the entire squad. We owe Seánie Maguire the outstanding performance in the Cup semi-final. Freddie, Anderson, and even McLaughlin were excellent too. But it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that they drew inspiration from Seánie's tireless stamina. So I would name him player of the season. A proper coronation at the Aviva is on the cards. History loves its little ironies of repeating chapters, and we, Cork City fans, would welcome it with open arms. So those are my words for Mr. Maguire. I hope you'll be inspired by those words on Sunday. John, you are also the author of a book about Cork City, or about football. Would you like to tell the viewers about it and where they can find it and what's the scope?
Oh, sure, absolutely. It's obviously it's available in, I suppose, bookstores and also and online and the likes of Amazon. The book is Cork City Football Club Game of My Life. So I suppose at times this year as well, I kind of found it was nice to be. I kind of pulled it out once or twice even myself. When you're kind of suffering defeat after defeat and maybe staring relegation in the face. Like it was kind of, maybe I found kind of nearly kind of like it was like a dose of medicine or kind of a relief. Sometimes just to open look back at better, to open a chapter and just look back at better days and that kind of thing. But essentially the book's about kind of just talking to close to 30 Cork City players about the game of their life, as the title says. They just talk about memories and highlights right throughout the 30 years of Cork City Football Club. So players from the 90s and guys from the 2005 title winning team, and also from the John Caulfield and the 2017. And just ultimately just talking obviously about their memories of winning trophies and how much it meant to them in terms of playing for Cork City Football Club. And there was some nice nostalgia, and I think even thinking of big moments in the Aviva. There was obviously Akil Campion as well, for example, scoring the goal that I think he ensures that he'll always be welcome with open arms in Cork. After scoring in the final against Dundalk in 2017, but it's available on Amazon. But it's just it's a good kind of a nostalgia. It's kind of it's a history of Cork City Football Club, but told by the players themselves, essentially.
Okay, so I'm going to encourage people to look for it, whether in bookstores in Ireland or if they're overseas, to use Amazon. Let's finalize with two quick questions. Cornell, what headline do you want to see in Monday's papers after the Aviva game?
If I had any headline that I'd like to see on Monday's papers, I would like to see Cork City does the impossible.
I like that. That's a very good one. I hope that's the case on Monday. We all see that in the newspapers in this country. John, what's your secret celebration plan for Sunday? It won't be too secret because you're on camera, but the one you can reveal.
I will hope like maybe down around Patrick Street, maybe a big celebration, maybe or in Reardon's or somewhere, Washington Street, or definitely maybe around the fountain, a load of Cork City fans, and maybe hopefully maybe an open top bus with Cork City players and the trophy. That would be an ideal scenario, and I think it'd be a nice way to end 2025. That's for sure. Having something like this to celebrate, I think the fans definitely probably would. They would really welcome a day like having seen to dance Sunday night, because it's probably been a difficult season, as I've said, for the club and for Cork City supporters. So it'd be a nice way to book in 2025 by having a celebration and maybe having a load of fans. Obviously, I'm not going to encourage fans to jump into the fountain and the Grand Parade, but just have fans singing and cheering and just having a lot of joy around the place. It'd be a nice way to end 2025.
Yeah, that will be a night to remember, maybe inspiration for another book. Talking of inspiration, it's Movember, and myself and Cornell, we are not skipping it. Movember, it's a must. Cornell, let us know about your Movember endeavor. You look great, by the way. I like it. Suits you.
Thank you very much. I like yours as well. It's really, really nice. Obviously, Movember obviously is to do with moustache, a beard, but it's also to do with mental health as well. That's really going around at the present moment, and for people, for men, that's really struggling and finding it hard to speak up and to man up what's really bothering them. So, obviously, have my moustache, obviously, especially with like mental health, obviously is a very big thing. So keeping motivated and impact, I think is very, very important for all men of today that's struggling to talk and that's struggling to get their point across on how they're feeling as a man.
100%. And I'm taking the duty very seriously. So I'm doing 5 Movember sessions in this YouTube channel if you guys are interested. One already took place, but you can always watch it. It was named How to Find Peace of Mind. That was a recording I did last Sunday. There'll be another one not Sunday, because Sunday there's a big game in Aviva. I'll be in shape to run any podcast. So Monday the 10th, there'll be another Movember talk. So if you are into this sort of team, make sure to connect, and there'll be other free for the remainder of the year. If you're interested in supporting my Movember campaign, I will put in the chat the link to my Movember profile. So it would be great if you can give not me, but Movember Ireland, a few quid, even a $5 will make a big help. So I just want to show you my page. Hope that will encourage people to donate. Hope I'm not too scary. So please, that's my page. Make sure to go there. And at the moment I have 50 quid. It's a good starting point. So every euro is more than welcome. Right, guys. Thank you very much for the chat, as always. John, perhaps I will see you on Sunday. Who knows? If you see someone with a weird mustache, it might be me. So just approach me.
Yeah. I hope. Well, it's probably more hope than expectations, I said. But hopefully, if I'm in Portugal, it'll be maybe after a Cork City putting off what could be not improbable, but pulling off one of the greatest cup wins in their history, and defying the odds and beating the standard setters in Irish football that Shamrock Rovers have been. Like they've been the best team for the last 5, 6, 7 years, and I think that's the challenge that's ahead of Cork City. But hopefully they might scale that mountain, and maybe if we come across each other, Vitor, on Sunday, they'll be after climbing that mountain, and the couple will went back to the side.
Yeah, to be the best context ever. Cornell, thanks very much as well. Keep it up with the Movember. We'll see each other next Thursday. Perhaps next Thursday need to do it a bit early, because there is an Ireland game with Portugal. We might start at 6, but we'll work it out offline.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So, guys, if you want to know more about Irish football or be part of these insightful conversations, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to share with someone who missed, please press the share button below. If you enjoy what you did here, it will be grateful if you can let us know by clicking the thumbs up button. And so I'll wait for everyone next week for another League of Ireland discussion. In the meantime, there'll be the Movember. I think there are a lot of things on the table, and we can all benefit from it. So have a good evening, guys, and see you very soon. Take care.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Yes.
Thanks so much.